as required under the Open Public Meeting Acts, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Clerk, please conduct a prayer and flag salute.
God of the universe, look thou with favor upon these here assembled, and bestow thy guidance upon the members of the governing body in their deliberations. This we ask in thy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. In event of emergency, the proper method for exiting the council chambers is through the three rear doors in the rear of the room. Occupants should proceed down the staircase, out the front, and move away from the area in front of the steps. Any member of the public wishing to speak during the public comment session at the end of the meeting or speak during the public hearing on the budget, please sign in on the appropriate sheets provided in front of the room. Please turn off all cell phones or place them on vibrate. If you must take a call, please leave the council chamber. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Colbus.
Here.
Cozio. Here. Brown.
Here.
Armstead.
Here.
Cosby Hurling.
Here.
Sadowski.
Here.
Sheehy.
Here.
Yamakaitis.
Here.
Frazier.
Here.
Rochelle. Here. Mr. Moore.
Here. Mr. Clerk, we have a presentation. Janice Miles, would you please come up to the podium? Mr. Frazier, Mr. Mayor, have a presentation. This is in efforts of the Bladder Cancer Awareness walk that's just going to be taking place. I'm sure Mr. Frazier will fill you in on the details.
Hello, Mr. Grasso.
Good evening, everyone. Gives me great pleasure to be here to perform this particular task this evening. Janine Miles, who happens to be at my left, happens to reside in the 9th Ward. And she had favored our recreation superintendent with a letter requesting a 5-mile bladder cancer walk. And the purpose was to make people aware of bladder cancer and so forth. Janine happens to be a survivor of bladder cancer. At this particular time, this is her way of paying back all of the people that attended to her, and most important, to make people aware of it. Cancer, I'm sure each and every one of you has experienced to some degree, perhaps in your family. I know I have. And I think what she's doing is an excellent thing. So this evening, what we're going to do, we're offering a resolution on her behalf, and particularly the function that she's going to perform. So if I may read it, please bear with me. It's a resolution supporting the efforts of Janine Miles to bring bladder cancer awareness to the citizens of Linden. Whereas bladder cancer is the top 10 list of cancers in the United States, with an estimated 70,530 new cases occurring in 2010. Whereas there were an estimated 14,680 people who died of bladder cancer in 2010. Whereas there exists a need to educate and make our community aware about this rare and deadly form of cancer. Whereas Janine Miles, a Linden resident and a bladder cancer survivor, has decided to take it upon herself to educate our community about this form of cancer. And whereas, as part of her efforts to give back, she will be sponsoring a 5-mile walk on August 13, 2011 at 9 a.m. starting at 140 Rosewood Terrace in Linden. Happens to be in the 9th Ward. Whereas the mayor and the council of the city of Linden is desirous of supporting Janine Miles in her efforts to bring awareness about bladder cancer to our community. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and the council wholeheartedly endorse and commend the efforts of Janine Miles to educate the residents of the city of Linden about bladder cancer. Be it further resolved that they urge the residents of Linden to participate in the 5-mile walk, which will be held on August 13, 2011, and support the efforts of Janine Miles, and be it resolved with a copy of the resolution be spread upon the minutes of the City Council in the City of Linden, and a copy be presented to Janine Miles in recognition of the above. Signed by Council President James Moore and the Mayor Richard Gabunka, as well as attested by Joseph Bodak, our City Clerk. Gives me pleasure to present this to you, Janine.
Okay. Thank you very much. I decided to do this walk. I'm a survivor of 8 months. So just wanting to give back, that was my promise, that if I got through this and got a second chance, that this is what I would do to make everyone aware, especially with women, because sometimes we're walking around with symptoms and we don't know what's happening. So this I brought to their attention so that I may give this walk, and in the midst of this, to tell everybody, you know, the symptoms and how to go about these things that that's, not really happening at that time. So I really thank, the mayor and Mr. Frazier for really supporting me in this, because I didn't really know how it was going to turn out or if anybody would walk. I just knew that I was going to do the walk whether I had 2 people or 20 people. I wanted to really do this so that I could really reach out to tell people my story. So I'm here 8 months later, and I'm just so thankful that I'm still here. So I really like to share this with anybody that I can. Thank you. And the walk would take place from my house, which is on 140 Rosewood Terrace. We actually leave there at 9 o'clock. We'll be walking down Summit. We'll be walking to Wilson Park, and we'll be doing, it's actually a 3K, 3 miles is 5K. So actually we'll be walking around the lake 13 times, which will equal 3 miles. So we thought we would do it this way because a lot of people were asking questions like, how long do we have to walk? And if there's, elderly people that want to walk that can't really walk as far as we intended the walk to go to before, they would be able to participate with us. So again, it's going to be on August 13th, and we're leaving at 9 a.m. So I hope to see some of the faces that I see in here walking with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor and Mr. Frazier. Ordinance on first hearing. This is the date and time established for the public hearing for ordinance on hearing. Ordinance 5552.
32. An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, shall be amended and supplemented as follows. Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-33, Handicap Parking Regulations, 7-33.1A, Handicap Parking on Street. Add 1108 Bauer Street, 1 space, 318 Garfield Street, 1 space, 2703 Parkway Avenue for 226 Madison Street, 1 space.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Has any written communication been received?
No, sir.
Anyone wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing on this ordinance and adopt it and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Mr. Clerk, ordinance 5533.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, shall be amended and supplemented as follows. Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-10, parking prohibited at all times on certain streets. Add West Blanky Street, south side, from the southwesterly curb line of Lumber Street to a point 71 feet southwesterly. West Blanky Street, southeast, from the northeasterly curb line of Lumber Street to a point 58 feet northeasterly. Lumber Street northeast from the southeasterly curb line of West Blanky Street to a point 35 feet southeasterly. Lumber Street southwest from the southeasterly curb line of West Blanky Street to a point 32 feet southeasterly.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Has there been any written communication received?
No, sir.
Is there anyone wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Mr. President, I move the hearing be closed, and the ordinance adopted, and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Mr. Clerk, 5534.
Bond ordinance approving an appropriation of $250,000 for the acquisition of a sanitation truck with plow for the Public Works Department and authorizing the issuance of $237,500 bonds or notes for financing part of the appropriations.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Please come up.
Pat Hero, Wheat Chief Road. Last year, I opposed, along with several other people, I believe at least one other person that I know of, opposed getting a garbage truck, and so, of course, it was voted down. And I have learned more about this, about our need for the garbage truck, and I made a promise that I would speak in favor of this because I do believe that we do need this garbage truck, so I would ask all to vote for passage and get us this garbage truck, a sanitation truck. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sharpie?
Yes, my name is Paul Sharpie. I reside at 315 Second Avenue, Linden. Last month, I asked you how many trucks we were getting for that price. If I remember right?
We're getting one.
We're only getting one?
Yes, sir.
How many could stand on the back of the truck? Is it two pickup men?
You'd have to repeat that, sir. I didn't hear
On the back of the truck, how many men are allowed on the back of the truck? Two?
In the city of Linden, we have two personnel on the back and one driving.
Okay, just to bring up to you, yesterday, I seen 3 men on the back of a truck. I know it's against federal law. I know there's only requirement of 2. And the spot where I found those gentlemen was standing outside the Dunkin' Donuts, and I seen 3 men on the back of the truck. I could have reported it to the state and everything, so I just wanted to let it be known, okay?
Sir, I don't know the details on that, but I believe yesterday was close to 100 degrees. And if there was 3 guys on the back of the truck, we'll look into it. There must have been a reason why there
But
was
I have no
3 guys on the
opposition
truck.
toward this ordinance. I agree with it. It's one truck, we need it. Go ahead.
Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I move that the hearing be closed and the
Excuse
ordinance...
me, we have one more speaker. Sir?
John Roman, Summit Street. I'd like to ask a question. Where is this truck being purchased from?
This truck is coming from International Harvester. on-
Mid-Atlantic over on
Yes.
Stiles?
Yes, sir.
Was there any shopping around or any kind of lease looked into?
Yes, Mr. President. Or I think it's the Assistant Superintendent of Public Works. We looked at many trucks. Actually, we don't want to buy this type of truck, but we have to at this time. We would like to get to the one-armed trucks, but right now, our finances are, we can't afford the one-armed trucks right now because of buying the cans. The one-armed trucks are twice the amount of money. They're $400,000 for the one-armed truck, and we have to buy the cans. And we're going to have to start doing that ward by ward when it happens. Right now, we went with the International because majority of our fleet is International. We do have crane carrier vehicles right now, which we are having a hard time getting parts for. And that's what's holding us up. Right now, just guessing, at most times, we have at least 3 trucks that are broke down, that are out of service. And they've been trying very hard to not inquire overtime. And it's very, because our equipment is in bad shape. And, you know, we had a lot of discussion over this garbage truck. Believe you me, no one on this council wants to spend $200,000 on a truck right now with our finances, but we have to. We have to. We actually need 2 or 3 trucks, but we cannot do it at this time. And you know, you should see our parts bill just from trying to keep the units we have now, you know, in service and rolling and safe. You know, right now, you know, we're getting to the point now where our trucks are becoming unsafe, and we don't want that to happen. Believe you me, we do not want to purchase this truck, but we have to right now to hold us over. We're even looking into purchasing used ones right now from Woodbridge. But, you know,
Well, I mean, is financing out of the, you know, or leasing? I mean, I know plenty of companies that lease these garbage trucks.
myself.
I mean, I could point to one in Linden in particular, and it's not Mid-Atlantic. It seems like, I can understand Linden buying off of Mid-Atlantic. They're right here, parts are accessible. But I mean, does somebody in Linden have stock in this company? Because that's the only company I ever see him buying from.
No, we buy from everywhere. It went out on competitive bid, and there's the state authorized buyer that we have to buy
Certified,
from.
I guess?
Right.
Right.
We have to buy.
Madam Treasurer, could you explain how we're going to purchase this truck?
Once this ordinance is approved, what we have to do is we have to put out a bid. And once the bids come in, the purchasing agent will review them and look at them. Over the past several years, they have been the lowest bidder. And that's who we had purchased the trucks from. But we always go out to bid when we have an item over the bid threshold of $37,000.
Well, these are all contractors that are certified to do business with the city? That you make these offers to, or?
What we do is, we rig the truck up. We give them the specs. Our Public Works Department gives them the specs, and then the specs go out to bid. That's why some
Two
years
bidders that
we
are
might get a-
certified to do work with the city?
They
Because-
have to be.
Yeah,
Council
exactly.
President?
You know, they have to
Yes.
be a
Council
bidder.
President, if I may,
Yes, please.
contractors, all contractors on any contract, unless they're on the state disqualified list, can bid on a contract. So they have to provide, when they bid, they have to provide certain documents and insurance to us, so
Right.
it's not a matter of whether...
I understand
It's not a
that.
matter whether they're on a certified list, they're not on a disqualified list, and
Right.
it's very difficult to be
Whether or
disqualified
not
as a
they're
contractor.
questionable dealers.
Well, the question is in...
Or
under-
let me say, dealers in good standing.
that unless they've been disqualified by the state, and that's a very stringent standard to be disqualified, you award the contract to the lowest responsible bidder that complies with all the laws.
All right. I'll share some pictures with you later. Thank you.
Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I move the hearing be closed and ordinance 5534 be adopted and request a second.
Second. Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes, Mr. Clerk, 5535.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $55,000 for the acquisition of computer equipment upgrades for the Finance Department and authorizing the issuance of $52,250 in bonds or notes for financing part of the appropriation.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Any written communication received?
No, sir.
Is there anyone wishes to speak on the ordinance? Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I move the hearing be closed and ordinance 5535 be adopted and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Mr. Clerk, 5536.
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $38,500 for the acquisition of message boards for the police department and authorizing the issuance of $36,575 in bonds or notes for financing part of the appropriation.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Does anybody wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Please come to the podium, please. Your name?
Mr. Shoppy, 315 2nd Avenue, Linden. Is there a must to have these message boards? Is there a state requirement on these message boards that they had to be put up? That's $38,000, that's the taxpayers' money.
Mr. Moore, I could help with that.
Mr. Sheehy?
The message boards have a short life expectancy. They last, I would say 2 or 3 years. And our message boards right now, we don't have any. We're borrowing, Mr. Purcell gets them from the county for us, and we're out of message boards. I'm looking for message boards in my neighborhood to try stopping the truck traffic, and we've been waiting for months to put these signs, these message boards out. So we had great discussion again over this. Believe you me, we do not want to spend any monies at all. But right now, I'm going to go back to safety. We use these message boards a lot. And, we did do a lot of research on it, and we even worked in a deal where they were going to fix one of our old ones for us in the price of these new message boards. We're in desperate need of them. And one is a radar, one with the radar in it, and I think they're going to fix the one with that has the radar in this one that tells you your speed while you're going by. Believe you me, we don't want to spend any money, but it's a safety issue, and we get great use out of those message boards.
Could a camera be put on these?
I really wouldn't want to answer that. I would say you could do just about anything these days, but I myself didn't look into that. But I know we need these message boards bad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I move the hearing be closed and ordinance 5536 be adopted and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Abstain.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Mr. Clerk, 5537.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2, Administration, shall be amended as follows. Delete 2-12.1, Department of Police in its entirety. Add new 2-12.1, Department of Police as follows. 1 chief, 5 captains, 10 lieutenants, 16 sergeants, 103 patrol officers.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Have we received any written communication?
No, sir.
Is there anyone wishes to be heard on the ordinance? Please come up. State your name.
Pat Hirowi, Chief Road. While I approve that the position of deputy chief has been eliminated, I'd like to know why are we increasing the rank of captain on this one? If someone could answer that.
I could answer that, Council President, if I may.
Thank you.
Because Chief Bavona, the way he's setting up his chain of command, needs another captain rather than a deputy chief. It would be more beneficial to him. He's going to have a captain in charge of each platoon in the patrol division, and then he's going to have a captain in the chief's office, which is administrative. Then he has a captain of the staff, which is record bureau and service divisions, and he's also having a captain of investigative division. So that's the way he wants to put his chain of command, and he's the chief of police, and I support him 100%, especially since it's going to save us some money by not having to pay a salary for a deputy chief and a lower salary for a captain.
All right, it's just that it seems that we have to do more with less, and, I mean, that's what I've been constantly hearing on here, and, well, I do respect his, decision to do what he wants with his department. It just seems to me that we could be looking at saving if we did. Couldn't we have someone a civilian, for example, in the administrative work, or is that not feasible?
You'd have to talk to the chief of police on that again. I respect his opinion. I hold him responsible, and I support him 100%.
Okay, thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I move the hearing be closed and ordinance 5537 be adopted and request a second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling? Yes. Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. We're going to move into the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the City Council and be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or the citizen so requests. In the event that the item will be removed from the general order of business, in consideration is the normal sequence on the agenda. We have items 1 through 4.
Move for approval of items 1 through 4, request a second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling? Yes. Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Mr. Clerk, you have any communications?
Yes. To the Linden City Council, you, the Linden City Council, the stewards of the community, unless you function as a cohesive unit for the common good of the community, consider yourselves persona non grata within the confines of the Linden City Council chamber. Respectfully submitted, Joe Bianco.
Thank you, sir. Committee reports, Mr. Kalabas.
Thank you, Council President. For the Construction Code Department, the figures for collected for June 2011, 176 permits issued, 115 certificates processed for a total of $57,640. From the Engineering Department, report for July 2011, the city's paving contractor resurfaced the following streets since the last council meeting: East Price Street, Tuxedo Place, Van Buren Avenue, Worth Avenue, West 15th Street, East Henry Street, Middlesex Street, Mostick Avenue, West Blanky Street, and Brunswick Avenue. Lower Road will be completed by the end of this week. 82% of the cost of these streets were paid by county and state grants obtained by the Engineering Department. Bids were received on July 12th for the resurfacing of Camera Street, Grant Street, Ferber Avenue, Highland Avenue, and Myrtle Terrace. These bids exceeded the appropriation, so the project will be scaled down and rebid in August. August will be also be bidding for curb and sidewalk reconstruction. If any property owner has deteriorated curbs or walks caused by city trees, please call your council person to get on the list for this year. The committee reviewed the council members' request for 2012 state aid resurfacing and have selected DeWitt Terrace and Southwood Avenue for our application. This is contingent on the state reauthorizing the program for another year. I have a request for a street light to be installed at 832 East Henry Street. The pole number will be provided, and I seek a second.
Second.
Roll. 1 second. Mr. Colbus.
Yes.
Kozio.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yamakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Purcell.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Finally, I know I'm going on my report first, but hopefully I'm saying congratulations to the 6 firemen that we're approving tonight on the Personnel Finance Committee report. I want to say congratulations, and also to the promotions in the police department as well. I hope everybody's enjoying their summer and just try to stay cool. This concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Cozart?
Thank you, Council President. I would also like to congratulate these 6 gentlemen tonight. I'm sure they're going to be successful. Very brief report tonight. West Elizabeth Avenue Flood Control Project. There will be a pre-bid meeting next week, and bids for construction are due to be opened on August 4th. The bid should be awarded soon thereafter, with project hopefully commencing sometime in September. West Blanky Street was just paved from Stiles to Amon Terrace, with improvements to the roadway and sidewalk corners. Striping has yet to be done, but will be done soon. The former Hearst Celanese property on West Elizabeth Avenue is well into the process of being redeveloped. If anybody's down that way, there's a lot going on. The property's been vacant, non-productive for about 20 years, maybe over 20 years. Excavation and ground clearing is taking place. Construction will hopefully begin soon. I'll have more details on what's going in upcoming meetings. As I mentioned during the last meeting, I was not, and I'm still a little unhappy with the way Wood Avenue looks with curbside litter, overflowing trash containers, dirty sidewalks, and streetscape. I'd like to sit down with Mr. Sheehy and his committee to see if we can get a more aggressive campaign to keep Wood Avenue looking the way it should. The Merck soil testing near the corner of Bradford Avenue and West Elizabeth Avenue is ongoing. Testing should be completed hopefully by the end of August. I have contacted PSE&G about several streetlights in the second ward which need immediate attention. Several residents have called me with lights that are out or constantly on. I will keep those residents apprised of status. You heard Councilman Sheehy speak about the message signs. I'm going to give you a perfect example why they're necessary. Second ward is notorious for excessive speed. Dewitt Terrace, the cross streets, Knopf Street, Elm Street, Henry Street, Curtis Street. We put these signs up. Chief Boyle was very good to the residents of the second ward, and he was able to position those, especially in the summer months. A lot of traffic out, a lot of pedestrians out, to try to keep the speeds down. They had the big units, which were positioned for a week or two. They also had the small units, which were attached to utility poles, which recorded not only the speed, but the amount of traffic that was going by, which helps in traffic studies. So that's why I think it's mandatory that we keep funding going to these projects. Lastly, I'd like to speak about the Linden Society for Historic Preservation. There was a meeting about a week ago, and we're moving along with some planning. And I asked the mayor last night in the council if we could announce this. In the planning stages, we would like to bring back the annual Halloween parade. We're planning it. It's not going to be the kind of parade that we remember in recent years. We don't have the money to spend on it, but being involved with Project Graduation for 15 or 20 years, there's ways to get money, there's ways to get funding. It doesn't always have to come from the city coffers. We're going to see if this can happen. It's exciting. In a meeting of about an hour, we put together a list. It was amazing. We started putting down who could we call, who could we get. We called the bands. We called PTA people. It's something that could happen, and it's for the kids of the community. It's for everybody, and we're gonna try to do it. I think it's going to be great. We're going to have it another meeting on Monday, July 25th, Linden Public Library, 3rd floor. If anybody who was involved, and I don't want to slight anybody because the Halloween committee is still there. There are many people who were involved. My wife was involved. Many people like Audrey and Carl Pereira, who did so much for the city for many years. The Moose, members of the Moose. Those who are interested, those who would like to be involved, please come to the meeting. Share your ideas. We don't have a lot of time, but I don't think it's going to take a lot of time to do this. It's the first year back. I think we can do it. It's going to be exciting, and we could build from here, and we're going to be very, very cost-effective in doing that. End of report.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Council President. First, I would like to say congratulations to the firefighters that will be hired today. Thank you very much for coming to serve for the city of Linden. Also would like to thank the police department and the police chief. I had another 3 residents tell me this weekend that they've seen increased police presence in our ward, and they're very grateful for that. So I'd like to thank the police department for that. I'd like to thank the Public Works Department, too, for their hard work they've been doing for the last few days with this heat. I spent some time with the Public Works Department yesterday, and a lot of us don't realize how hard these guys work when it's about 90 or 100 degrees out there picking up trash, and my appreciation goes out to them. They do work hard. And one thing I do want to mention is that we talked about it yesterday and a couple months ago, and it's coming an issue in my ward as well as on the ward, is people going around soliciting business. I know right now there's energy companies that are going out saying they can save you some money. I just ask residents, do not let these people inside your homes, and if you feel uncomfortable, ask them to show you a permit. Anyone who's going door to door soliciting any type of business should have a permit on file with the clerk's office. If they do not, feel free to contact the police, and the police will handle the matter. Other than that, that's the end of the report.
Thank you. Mr. Armstead?
Yes, Mr. President, I have the following reports. And the City Clerk's Licensing Division is submitting its monthly report for the month of June 2011. The office issued 222 miscellaneous licenses and collected $6,231. The following licenses, permits, and transcripts issued in the City Clerk's office during the month of June 2011 and fees received have been turned over to the Municipal Treasurer and the City of Linden. 121 birth, death, and marriage transcripts, 26 marriage licenses, 0 domestic partnership/civil unions, 16 miscellaneous revenues, 0 bingo raffles, 231 EDRS vital statistics, interest of 18 cents, and $0 for burial fees, with a total of $5,842.98. Also, Mr. President, Linden Board of Alcoholic and Beverage Control. This is to advise you of all revenues received by the City Clerk's Office, Board of Alcoholic Beverage Control for the months of April, May, and June 2011, which has been turned over to the Municipal Treasurer. April, total of $25.05. May, total of $15,195.25. And June, a total of $36,896.57 for a grand total of $52,116.87. I do have a couple of things that are germane and specific to my ward. The paving has been completed on Middlesex Street from Bauer Street to McCandless, and paving began on East Henry Street between Bauer Street and McCandless Street today, which will probably be completed by tomorrow. We've also completed the improvements along Van Buren Avenue from Bauer Street to McCandless Street as well. Last but not least, I'll do my Personal and Finance Committee report. A copy of it has been placed in the front for the public's review. This month we have decided to go with a slight change in the way we present the report, giving the public an opportunity to review the report and to make comments if necessary. So at this time I would ask if anyone has any comments on the Personal and Finance report that has been placed on the front desk, you may come forward with any questions that you may have regarding it. Seeing none, I will move ahead with the report. I'd also just like to make a slight mention that if you do have a copy of the Personal and Finance report, we accidentally omitted an item, and it will be item 11 on the report that I read, and it's for the hiring of a police officer. So with that, I'm going to read the Personal and Finance report. Approval is requested for all the finance actions. Number 1, in the Department of Public Works, the approval of an unpaid FMLA leave of absence for Jeffrey Holmes from June 9th, 2011 to August 10th, 2011. Number 2, in the Department of Public Works, the approval of a paid FMLA leave of absence for Matt Hirsch from May 9th, 2011 to August 31st, 2011. Number 3, in the Department of Public Works, the approval of a paid FMLA leave of absence for John Markowski from June 24th, 2011 to August 31st, 2011. Number 4, in the Tax Collector's Office, the approval of an unpaid FMLA leave of absence for Tawana Gaston Passmore from July 11, 2011 to August 19, 2011. Number 5, in the Police Department, the promotion of Lieutenant Dave Hart to Captain at the annual salary of $130,745, Sergeant Matthew Marciano to Lieutenant at the annual salary of $103,830, and Officer Christopher Gunther to Sergeant at the annual salary of $94,917, effective August 1st, 2011. In the Fire Department, the approval of the following promotions. Number 1, Lieutenant George Wasilewski to the rank of Captain at an annual salary of $103,828 to replace the vacancy created by the retirement of Captain Shenik, effective August 1st, 2011. Number 2, Firefighter Todd Felter to the rank of Lieutenant at the annual salary of $95,212 to replace the vacancy created by the promotion of Lieutenant Wasilewski, effective August 1st, 2011. Number 7, in the Fire Department, the hiring of the following probationary firefighters at an annual salary of $44,690, effective August 15, 2011, pending the results of a successful completion of a pre-employment medical testing and background checks to replace the vacancies created by the retirements of firefighter Walter Range, Fred Walk, Captain Robert Miller, John Zeke, Matt Solsky, and Deputy Chief Daniel Guerra. They are as follows. Number 1, Michael Fry. 2, John Keefe. 3, Theodore Tabersi. 4, Brandon Bennett. 5, Daniel Diaz. 6, Robert Barrero. Number 8, the personnel required out to carry out the department's Clean Communities program. The list is on file in the Treasurer's office. Number 9, the personnel required to carry out the Department of Public Works Services seasonal programs. The list is on file in the Treasurer's office. Number 10, the payment of bills totaling $1,239,127.21. The bills have been signed by the Mayor, Council President, and Finance Chairman, and a detailed check register and vouchers are on file in the Clerk's office. Number 11, in the Police Department, the hiring of James Garrison as a probationary police officer effective July 15th, 2011, at the annual salary of $44,690, pending successful completion of all applicable examinations per PVA contract due to the vacancy created by the retirement of Police Officer William Knapp. Number 12, we are in receipt of the investments made by the City Treasurer for the month of June at the rate of 0.75%. I move for approval and ask for a second on all items.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes on all except for the bill list. I'm not sure exactly if it's still number 10 or not, but I'm going to abstain on number 10 and yes to all the others.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes on all.
Purcell?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Roshana Cosby Hurley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to try and be brief. First, I want to just ask that we all continue to keep the family of the late Officer James Carter in our prayers. You know, he served the city well. I want to congratulate the officers and the firemen and chief official congratulations all in public. My announcements for the 5th Ward. The Linden Family Success Center is physically open and located at the Multipurpose Center. They do have a wide array of services that are available to the citizens of Linden. They will be in the building from 9 a.m. until 5 a.m. Monday, not 5 p.m. Monday through Wednesday and Thursday and Friday from 11 to 8 p.m. Our newsletter is currently in circulation. I'm going to give more to some of the committee people who haven't received theirs yet for their districts for distribution. If you haven't received one yet, they're still being distributed. Hard copy as well as email. August 21st at 1 p.m. at the IOZ Park, the 5th Ward residents as well as the 8th Ward residents are going to come together for Community Unity Day. As most of us know, the 5th Ward and the 8th Ward share many streets, and the idea is that we can meet our neighbors, and whatever the census shows, if some people end up in the 8th Ward or we end up with people from the 8th Ward in our ward, you know, we all still are neighborly to one another. So August 21st, we're going to do that, and volunteers are still requested to help with the event. Today I participated in a meeting, and I was very happy to be there actually, with the engineering department, myself, the Disco Associates, and Councilwoman Yamakaitis regarding the Peach Orchard Creek flood project. We got lots of good information. It looks very, very promising. However, I just want to say that it's not going to happen overnight. So please just bear with us as we plan more meetings with the County of Union to try and get this project moving forward. It needs to be funded. The last estimate was $7 million, and that was in 2009. The traffic study was completed for the Dill Avenue crosswalks at the senior citizens, and I'm excited that we are going to have crosswalks in that area so that our neighbors can cross safely from the senior citizens to the IOZ Park. I did request 2 more traffic studies at the request of some of our neighbors. One is going to be for Ingalls Avenue. We have a lot of concerns about people dodging the red light off Park Avenue. And we're going to have a traffic study done for Chandler, Charles Street, and Union, because a lot of people fly through there and there's a difficult corner. So we're going to request a traffic study and see if we can get 2 additional stop signs. So we'll have a 4-way stop sign there. The tree planting is not going to take place until early fall. So if you still would like for us to come out, because we're still trying to schedule myself and the Shade Tree Commissioner, Mr. Tandle, to come out and visit some locations in the ward, please give me a call because the planting will take place early fall. I'm waiting until the department head comes back off vacation, and I spoke with engineering again today about the possibility of adding fencing on Dill Avenue at the creek. Children are still going into the creek, and it's not safe. So we're looking to create some fencing as a temporary barrier, at least to prevent the children from going in. It's a reminder for everybody in Bishop Evans Way vicinity, portions of Middlesex Street, portions of Chandler Avenue. On July 30th, Morning Star is going to have a community block party. Portions of those streets are going to be blocked off from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. and it's an open event, so anybody is welcome to attend the event, July 30th. I just want to also remind us that there are no dogs allowed in the park. We have lots of people walking their dogs in the park and creating health hazards for people who want to enjoy the park. So please remember, no dogs in the park, and when you walk your dog, please pick up after your dog. And finally, I've received lots and lots of phone calls about employment. The city currently still is under a hiring freeze. However, we are replacing positions as the need exists from the department head, and we are going to fine-tune our process. For many years, most of you know that was my biggest complaint. Jobs are not made public. So in August, and we're working with Jessica Sheehy, our attorneys, personnel and finance, and myself to make sure that anytime there's an opening, if it's not going to be posted internally first, if there's no need for that, it must be posted on the city's website, in the public buildings for the city, as well as a civil service notice, so that it's fair and open to anybody who lives in the city of Linden. And from last month, the nepotism policy, myself and the mayor went back and forth. Unfortunately, the policy I believed was distributed was not the policy. It was not the final version that we had worked on. So The policy that you received, Mrs. Malik, was not the final version. And the language that I thought was there as far as the testing for relatives was not there. So it's on tonight for approval, and it does have the proper language. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Sadowski, prior to your report, I'd like to ask the fireman who we just hired this evening, would you stand up, please? Thank you, gentlemen. Is the police officer in the audience? Mr. Sadowski.
Thank you, Council President.
Could we have a hand for the gentleman that were promoted? Could you stand, please? Sort of standing already. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Council President. Just a few things. First of all, congratulations to all the people with the firemen and the policemen. I guess we need you, and I'm sure you're going to live up to the reputation of Linden Firemen and Police Department, so thank you for coming. Just a couple of things. Councilman Brown mentioned about the people coming around the houses. Well, this was just over the weekend. I had an incident in the 6th Ward. One of the residents called me up. To make it short, there was people coming around selling Sloman Shield and oil together. When I stopped them, they said the people asked them to come, so on and so forth. I called the police department. When I told them we were calling the police, they took off. They just went. The next day, I can't believe it was a Sunday, they come, they didn't know where I lived, they come to my house, talk to my wife, wanted to get in the house so they can see what we had in the house. As soon as I walked down the stairs, they saw who I was, they took off again. So please, make sure they have some kind of city certification, and don't let them in the house, please. Okay, thank you for that. I might as well get this. Jack Shee and myself, we're working on the 9/11 tower, the girder, and plans of it for coming up in front of the City Hall. We're working, it's coming along fine. We just need some more little tuning up, and we'll present it September 11th, so you'll all be invited then. This is, I guess, for the whole city, but mostly for 6th Ward residents, especially near Wheeler Park. If you didn't know, the county is planning on putting a new soccer field there. The soccer field will be between Stiles Street and the skateboard park. There's a softball field, but they're going to put up a new soccer field. It's not grass. They'll have lights, and there'll be portable bleachers there. So please, I got a letter from the county. Let me just read it to you, because if anyone has any problems, please contact me, like we did for the skateboard, and we could set up meetings with the county. But let me just read this. This is to me. Due to heavy demand and heavy usage of Wheeler Park soccer and softball field, Union County has designated it as a logical area to install a lighted, multi-use, all-turf field. Field users have reached out to us on various occasions regarding adding more fields at Wheeler, or the possibility of turf, which would accommodate the large Linden soccer population. In May of 2009, the freeholders voted to acquire designs for all-turf, all-purpose fields at Wheeler Park and at Phil Rizzuto Park on the Union-Elizabeth border. In June, the freeholders voted to acquire designs for an all-turf, all-purpose fields at Rory River Park, Montano Park, and in Elizabeth. All these sites were chosen because of the heavy demand for playing time. We expect the design for Wheeler to be back to us by September 2011. At this time, we will coordinate with the city and share the concept of the park improvements with local residents. So if we want to, we will have meetings as come September. We hope to have bids returned early enough to award a contract by November 2011. Fall league scheduled at Wheeler will not be interrupted with the old fields. Depending on the winter, this project could be done by summer, next summer. In any case, we will work with the local leagues to temporarily relocate their games and practices. The total cost should be around $1.7 million, $300,000 for lights included. They just told us last week, had no idea what was going on, but they are open, like with the skateboard park. If we could set up something, we can schedule meetings. I know last time we had the residents give me a call, we set up committees, and we did have meetings. So over the summer, please talk to your neighbors and give me a call, and we can send something up or set something up. Like I said, with the summer coming, please have a happy and safe summer, and we'll see you in the fall. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman. I wanted to recognize the new lieutenant and captain, but I understand they're not in the audience this evening, so good luck, gentlemen. Mr. Sheehy?
Yes. I'd like to congratulate the firemen and the policemen before I forget. I get nervous up here and I don't congratulate them, but it looks like we got a good group of men there. It look like a bunch of soldiers. Thank you, and I know you do a great job. From the DPW committee. Right now, if anybody's been to our recycling center and seen Ron Brewer down there, the guy that runs around there on a bad leg, he does one hell of a job. And now Ron's doing these reports for us, and recycling does pay. From Atlantic Coast Fibers, we got $2,032.31. For our metals from Riverside, we received $1,448. And for our paper from Garwood Paper, we received $13,593. The recycling does pay for us. I would like to comment too what Mr. Koziel said about the Halloween parade. If anybody wants to enter into the Halloween parade, and you're from Linden, or we'll even take out-of-towners to do this parade, if anybody wants to come up with a float, a car, anything you'd like to show off, please contact me or Mr. Koziel or the Recreation Department, because we're going to put on a parade. I mean, the parade means Linden. People come from all over, and they know Linden for the Halloween parade. And it did hurt us, you know, that we didn't have the parade last year, but it was just monies. And we are working already. We're going to put on a parade. And with any support, any help we can get, please come down. Nobody will be turned down. We have a Halloween committee that's been doing a job for 60 years, and they're doing a great job. It's just that, you know, it's monies, and we're going to try something new this year. And so if anybody wants to help with that Halloween parade, please get a hold of me or Mr. Koziel, please. And, you know, we're going to include the 150th birthday in the city of Linden. So if anybody has any ideas about that and you want to show it off, please. If you're an old family from Linden and you want to be involved, just bring your family out to march down Wood Avenue, you know. We'll accept everything, anything or anything for this parade. And if it's Linden orientated, fine. You know, it's great. And I would like to thank the people of the 7th Ward for putting up with the paving we've been having. You know, we have tight streets in the 7th Ward, so when it comes to pave one of our streets, it is difficult to get around. But we've been getting a lot of work done in the 7th Ward this summer so far. We had a hell of a time on 15th Street with traffic, but we got it done and we got through it, and now it's looking nice. And now we're going through the same thing on Lower Road. Lower Road will be tied up for at least a couple more days, but, you know, let's just bear with it, and when it's done, it's done. And the sidewalk list, the curb list, and the tree lists have all been handed in, you know, so, and you just have to remember, if you want a tree, turn a tree in, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. So when a tree or even the sidewalk, if you give us a sidewalk list, don't expect to see it done, you know, right away. It takes time. If it, you know, it might not even get done this summer. You know, it could be next summer. But if it was caused by damage from the city tree or a city truck, we will fix the curbs. But, it does take time. And that's the end of my report for tonight, sir.
Mr. Sheehy, we had a heck of a time getting the roads repaired.
Yes, sir.
Councilwoman Yamakaitis?
Thank you, Mr. President. From the Fire Committee, the Fire Department collected a grand total of $4,507.35 for the month of June 2011. We are also in receipt of a check of a donation to Mrs. Zach, our Chief Financial Officer. Dear Mrs. Zach, enclosed please find a donation check received by the Linden Fire Department from Mr. Theodore Rayberger in a total amount of $55. Kindly deposit these checks into the Fire Department donations account. Sincerely, Joseph A. Rizzo, Fire Chief. I make a motion that we accept this donation and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
As chairperson of the Fire Committee, I would also like to welcome aboard our new firemen. We have great expectations of you, and we know you'll live up to it. And I want to congratulate our new captain and lieutenant, as well as in the police department, those that were promoted. As I mentioned last month, I want to mention it once again because this is a very important entity in the city. The Friends of the Linden Library will be holding a tricky tray on Saturday, October 22nd at St. Mary's and Elizabeth Academy in Linden. The Friends are seeking donations of new gift items or monetary donations. Donations can be picked up by calling Joanne at 925-7963, or they can be dropped at the library. Proceeds will help defray the costs associated with the interior furnishings of the new library and computers, etc. On to the 8th Ward report. The paving of Brunswick Avenue, Worth Avenue, and Tuxedo Place in the 8th Ward has been completed. I want to express my gratitude to our engineering department in particular for working to get it done during peak vacation time. As you know, Brunswick Avenue is one of the main arteries off the New Jersey Turnpike into Linden. So it was done the week after 4th of July week. The police department, they cooperated. We had very minimal complaints or problems with the rerouting of traffic, so I thank you for that. I've also received several reports of car break-ins in the ward where GPS units and other materials such as clothing have been stolen out of cars. Please make sure that you lock your cars. The police department has been notified of this, and we ask that if you see anything suspicious, anyone hanging around that is not familiar, please call the police department at their regular line 474-8500. The National Night Out will be held on August 2nd again this year between 5 and 8 p.m. at the Promenade. All Linden residents are invited to come out and receive more information on Neighborhood Watch and other programs that are available. The Yellow Ribbon Campaign to support our troops has ribbons available to anyone who is interested in displaying one on their home or tree. Senator Nicholas Scutari and I are co-chairs of this year's campaign, along with the council liaisons, Councilman Sadowski and Councilwoman Cosby Hurling. I would like to make a special thanks to Skip of Adalia's Florist for making these ribbons for Linden. If anyone is interested in receiving these ribbons or more information on anything in my report, please call me at 925-2309. And just to conclude, I want to remind everyone in the 8th Ward and 5th Ward to please save the date for the Unity Day for the 5th and 8th Ward. It's going to be held at Iose Park from 1 to 4 p.m., and more information will follow. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Frazier?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. I'd first like to take this opportunity to congratulate the new probationary firefighters, and I wish you all the very, very best in your new career. At the same time, too, we've had promotions in our fire department as well as in our police department, and my congratulations to all. The very best to you. As chairman of the landfill, I just want to bring to your attention, at the landfill we do have a closed containerized flare, and what the flare does, it burns off the methane gas. As you know, that landfill, which had been probably in existence in the late 30s, had accumulated a tremendous amount of methane gas because of the products that were dumped in there. And part of an ACO, which is an agreement to, with the DEP, we had to install a flare. We're at the point right now, we've already received the permit for the flare. Now what we've got to do, it's probably been in operation for 1 year. And we're waiting for our engineering company that oversees this to start to give us the opportunity so that we can go out and seek some vendors that perhaps can use this methane rather than just flaring it. But right now, under the permit that we presently have, we have to flare it until the DEP gives us the opportunity. We believe probably within the next couple of months, we'll have that opportunity to market this methane gas. So at this particular point, we understand there are certain vendors that would be certainly would like to have it either converted to electricity or some other energy source. In addition, next to our landfill, we have what we call the Hawkeye Sanctuary, which is the forested area and the area around the landfill. Presently, we are constructing a walkway approximately a mile long going into this forested area. And we've had just a few problems, but we're overcoming those problems on the walkway. The weather is good right now, hot, but at the same time, it's commensurate with the continuation of the walkway. We feel the walkway will be done before the end of the year, and those who are environmentally interested or who just might be curious, please come on down and enjoy it. Getting back to our 9th Ward right now, presently we've had approved in past meetings the payment of a section of Ferber Avenue. Hopefully that'll be done this year. I've already submitted my curb and sidewalk list to our engineering department, and at the last month's meeting, the amount was approved for all the curbs and sidewalks. I don't know at this point if all of the list that I submitted will be totally completed. Tonight on our resolution, there happens to be resolution 222, and I trust that my colleagues will approve it. It's for the U.S. Department of Transportation out of their trust fund. It's a hefty amount, and what it is, a portion of this will be utilized to continue the paving on Dewood Terrace. And as you know, Dewood Terrace is one of the through streets from St. George's Avenue to Raritan Road, and it's also the street that accommodates the fire apparatuses going up into the 9th and 10th Ward. So we look forward and hope that we can continue the paving on this. At this particular time, Mr. President, that concludes my report, and I thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilman Pichelle.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I'll be brief. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the officers who were promoted on the police department, especially Dave Hart, who I'd known for many years. So good luck, guys. Fire department, congratulations on the promotions down there. You guys do a fantastic job, too. And the new probationary fire department probees officers. So, congratulations, and I know I have one in my ward, Robert Barrero, so good luck. And another one that was approved tonight was probationary officer Garrettson. Supposedly he came out #1 on the list. He's a vet, Iraqi vet, 2 tours over in Iraq. He's a Linden resident, and his father was chief of police in Roselle, so he should do very good. So congratulations to all of you. Trees and sidewalks, like everybody mentioned, if you need a tree trimmed, I have a list in there already. So be patient, it's very hot, it's taking them a while to go around the city. Walks, the same thing, if it's damaged by a tree, please give me a call. I'm still following through on the bagged leaves. I know a few people called me on that. Bag the leaves in the winter when they come down. And also, I want to see if we could pass an ordinance to have the landscapers remove the leaves. You know, if you're hiring a guy, let him remove it. Other towns do it. With the bagged leaves, there's one large town, Union, they do it. They have many people, many trees. And they bag the leaves, put them at the curb, truck goes around. You don't need a bucket loader and several trucks out there to do it. Like Councilman Sheehy mentioned with recycling, I just realized, and I forgot to talk to him about it. With the trash pickups coming around, there's a lot of people going around taking the metal. If we made, how much did we make on that, Jack? Do you remember?
Oh, I got it right here. We made $1,448. That was just in the month of June.
And I remember reading it the one other time, there was like $10,000 of metal. You know, so if you see somebody going through the garbage, call up the police department. There's an ordinance, and it'll be fine. That's money they're taking away from us. And at last council meeting, Mr. Workmeister mentioned about a city administrator. I polled the council, and everybody agreed we should look into it. Last night, we went around the room, and I suggested a committee be put together with 3 council members and 3 residents to look at how we could bring a city administrator into the city. And I mentioned really 3 residents' names, but I know Mr. Workmeister, he wanted to be on a committee. And I mentioned Mr. Lindsay, but he walked out of the room, so hopefully he might accept it if it's up to the council president to put it together. And John Langen. You know, these are 3 experienced people. I think they would help the city out greatly to get us moving forward. So hopefully this will come to fruition, and we'll get things going here. End the report, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, your report?
Thank you, Council President. I, too, would like to welcome the 6 new firemen to the city of Linden. You've chosen a noble profession, and I'm sure you will excel in your field. I'd also like to congratulate the new captain in the fire department and the new lieutenant. And in particular, I take great pride in congratulating Captain Hart and Lieutenant Marcino and Sergeant Gunther from the police department. Captain Hart and Lieutenant Marcino I've served with in the police department. They are extremely competent, and I know Sergeant Gunther would not have been nominated as a sergeant by the chief if he was a competent police officer and be an asset to the sergeant's rank. So congratulations to you 3. I know you're going to do a great job, and I'm going to be proud on swearing you in. I'd also like to thank, we had project graduation on June 24th, Linden High School. What project graduation is a drug and alcohol-free evening paid for by the Mayor's Youth Commission through donations, no city money, and the youth of Linden who just graduated go to the Ricochet Racket Club in Edison till 4 o'clock in the morning and have an enjoyable evening staying out of mischief. I'd also want to thank, and there's so many people to thank in regards to the project graduation that I can't name all their names, but I'd like to thank Reverend Donaldson, who's the president of the Mayor's Youth Commission, and also the Municipal Alliance Chairwoman, Dolores Hines, for providing the Mayor's Youth Commission with this program. I'd also like to mention that we are currently having the free concerts in Raymond Wood Bower Park. These concerts are paid for by private industry in the city of Linden. People don't realize how much industry and business contributes to our city and our Board of Education. 23 businesses contribute. It allows us to run top-notch entertainment every night, free, not every night, but specific nights free of charge at the promenade, and it's an enjoyable evening for all our residents. And lastly, unfortunately, we suffered the passing of Officer Carter last week. He was a tremendous police officer that was an asset to our city, and we are sorry in his passing. and may he rest in peace. End of report, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to move into resolutions. The public comment will be permitted for those specific resolutions to be removed from the consent approval. Please read the synopsis of the resolutions, which have been prepared by the City Clerk's office. Each one's informative and self-explanatory. However, you wish to address a specific resolution, the council will entertain questions on it. These are 2011-216 to 2011-237. Patty, you're up. Anyone else from the side? In the center, please. Mrs. Malik. 216. In the center? On the left, my left? 217.
217.
Motion on the rest?
I move for approval of resolutions 218, 219, 220, 221, 222, 223, 224, 225, 228, 229, 230, 231, 232, 234, and 237, and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Koziel? Yes. Brown?
Yes on all, but no on 232.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes on all except for 220.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes on all, clerk, but I'd like to abstain from 229.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Rochelle?
No on 232, yes on the rest.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 216, Mrs. Malik.
I would assume with this purchase that we should actually have a fixed amount. So a lot of times when we put in these amounts here, it says not to exceed. Why is this stated not to exceed? Isn't this like a binding contract that we have?
When we appropriate as a not to exceed because we put out the contract and for bid and quotes. So when the resolution doesn't precede the quotes, we get the quotes in and the contract cannot exceed this amount.
Okay. But you state for quotes here, but it only just has this one person, this one company, Core Systems.
Correct.
So this is after the fact?
It's through the state contract, and we set a not to exceed amount for the contract. We go to now we go to the state contract list to negotiate out a contract with them.
And so Core Systems is the one that got this?
They're the approved under the state contract. You don't have to bid it because they're on state contract.
All right, so this is kind of defeats purpose. So it doesn't go out to bid, so it should be no more than X amount of dollars then, correct?
Correct. That's why the resolution is written that way.
But it says here not to exceed, so it should...
It's no more than that amount.
But it's an the point I'm just making, a lot of times that we have these things and it says not to exceed. Why don't we just state it's for $40,000, $50,000?
Because oftentimes we don't know until we talk to the contractor and take bids.
Okay.
Motion, please.
I move to approval of Resolution 216 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Rochelle.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. 217, Roman?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a list of how you're going to make these sales, what vehicles are up for sale, and how are they posted? That's my question on that. I mean, what vehicles, I mean, I don't see anything about a vacuum truck that was traded in or the one they purchased over the past year. What happened to that? Did they trade it in?
Mr. Bodak?
A lot of these are vehicles, trade-ins would be included in the bid specifications to allow for it. These are usually sold at an auction that the county conducts, and the county hires the auctioneer and we pay part of the fee. And in the past few years, we've done extremely well at these auctions in selling the equipment.
Now, is there a list of the vehicles in question?
Yes, sir, it's on file in my office.
Thank you.
Motion, please.
I move for approval of Resolution 217 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Harling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Rochelle.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Resolution 226, Ms. Hero?
What is the corrective action plan?
The corrective action plan is something that's required by the state of New Jersey. When an annual audit is done, usually the last page shows the various recommendations that the auditor has come across that needs to be rectified. In this instance, there was 3 areas that the city of Linden needed to work with various departments to correct. One of them being, it's a state statute that once you receive funds, you must deposit those funds within 48 hours. So I sat down with some of the department heads and explained to them that the deposits have to be made within 48 hours. We have to put that on the corrective action plan. There was an area in reference to neighborhood preservation. I had to talk to the municipal engineer and find out the status of those funds. And the last one was in reference to the municipal court. We had to sit down and go through the corrective action plan as to how they're going to implement items so that these recommendations don't show up again next year.
Thank you.
And while you're there, motion, please.
Okay. I move for approval of Resolution 225 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
226, excuse me.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Harling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy.
Yes.
Yemakaitis.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Rochelle.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes. Okay,
227.
please.
I guess my question on this is why? It says it's appointing him as a constable in the city of Linden, but there's no salary given or duties performed on behalf of the city for this position, so why have the position? I mean, what's going to happen with this?
The constables are a statutory position. The city can appoint them. They do not work for the city. They're not an official of the city, but they are given the constable given certain statutory powers, usually used by attorneys for serving papers, for evictions, for serving process, for garnishments. Generally, that's what they're utilized by attorneys, and then they're paid by the attorneys or the professionals that retain them to go do such items.
Okay, and so therefore we have to authorize that?
They have to be, under state law, they have to be appointed, and they're appointed at the municipal level.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Hira, also in the city of Linden, we only had 1, and we had the option of having 50. And this young man had sought to become a constable for several years. So it's only appropriate that we appoint him, and he's going to be doing a service for a lot of businesses, lawyers, and such in town. One of the other constables who's actually here tonight, Mr. Olds, he also offered his services to the female councilwomen as a, if you will, security, because of, some things that are going on in town. So they do that as well.
Okay, thank you.
I move for approval of Resolution 227 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colbus.
Yes.
Koziel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Armstead.
Yes.
Cosby Harling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Ms. Hero, 233.
Now, this is to establish a nepotism policy. It's not that there's one that exists, like the one that we saw and was withdrawn a few months ago. Am I correct? Okay. There's no policy. I also understand that I looked at that previous policy, and I didn't see the words cousins mentioned, and I thought that would be appropriate also to have that included when you do decide to draw up a nepotism policy.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Thank you.
Andrew?
No, I...
There. Sorry. Yeah, that's the final. But Cousins is still not there, and I agree.
Motion, please.
I move for approval of Resolution 233 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 235, Ms. Hero.
I suspect I want to batch these two, just because I have the feeling, and I'd like to ask the city attorney on this one, I suspect we can't really discuss this yet. They're just authorizing the execution of the settlement agreement. So
In the first one, it deals with the redevelopment over and the acquisition of property to widen Style Street, and it's a settlement reached with the property owner over in lieu of condemnation. And the second one is a settlement of ongoing litigation that the city has had, and we've reached a resolution with the other party. Nobody's happy, which means it's a good settlement, and we've agreed to settle it.
I guess, though, I can't ask for specific terms on 236, can I yet?
Excuse me? The terms, you could, after the meeting, we could provide you with agreement once the agreement is fully executed by all parties. As of this time, we're approving it, but it's not a public document until all parties have executed and agreed to it.
Okay, thank you.
Have a motion on both
I move for
235 and
approval-
236.
Excuse me. I move for approval of Resolution 235 and 236 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Kalbas?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. The council, in order to take into consideration public input into proposed ordinance, will allow 3 minutes for each individual to speak on the ordinance at first reading. Council will not answer questions, and everybody is reminded that the public hearing on each of these ordinances will be held next month's council meeting. 5538.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 Traffic shall be amended as follows. Section 7-33.1A, handicap parking on street. Add 33 East 11th Street, 1 space, 45 West 12th Street, 1 space. Delete 516 Conklin Place, 713 East Curtis Street, 1011 John Street, 328 Spruce Street, and 427 Washington Avenue.
Comment from the public on it? Motion?
Council President, I'd like to introduce ordinance 5538 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colobus?
Yes.
Koziel?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Yes.
Frazier? Pichelle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Ordinance 5539.
An ordinance approving a lease agreement with Lynx for use of Firehouse Number 1, 201 Southwood Avenue as a food pantry.
Please. Ms. Hero.
Due to the economic times that we're living in, more and more people are food challenged. And I think this is a wonderful idea for the city to link up with Lynx, which is a wonderful organization in the city of Linden to provide people who are food challenged. And there are more of us out here than you can imagine. With the use of the firehouse. This is a great private-public partnership, and I would encourage the passing of this. on second reading and, of course, first reading also. Thank you.
Mr. Sharpie?
Paul Sharpie, 315 Second Avenue. I'm in total agreement with her. Yeah, if there's a need, there's a lot of poor families in here. I'm glad the city is using this facility for that purpose. I'm in total agreement with it. I hope it is passed.
Motion, please.
Mr. President, I move for introduction of ordinance 5539 and request a second.
Second.
Mr. Colubus?
Yes.
Koziol?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
Yes.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Kushel?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. 5540.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2 Administration as follows. Delete Section 2-7.1 in its entirety. Add new Section 2-7.1 as follows. Creation of committees, appointments of members. Delete Section 2-7.2 in its entirety. Add new 2-7.2 committees of the City Council.
Mr. Sharpie?
You explain in terms what this actually means for the city council? Is this being controlled by anybody, or is there certain members here of the council want to gain a little bit of control?
Council President, if I can speak.
Mr. Brown?
Basically, what happened is that we talked about this, we brought this up back in January, separating a personnel and finance committee. Therefore, you have a separate committee that deals just with the personnel issues, and a separate committee that deals with the financial issues of the city. Therefore, you have a commitment year-long.
Mr. Brown, I apologize. We don't answer questions or comments on first reading.
Sorry.
Next month, Mr. Sharpie.
Has this always been the same way? I think it should remain the same as what has been all along. I say that it should remain the same. Why change things that haven't been broken? I strongly suggest the council stay with the way it was. Thank you.
Motion, please.
I make a motion on ordinance 55-40 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mr. Colubus?
Yes.
Koziol?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Armstead?
No.
Cosby Hurling?
Yes.
Sadowski?
Yes.
Sheehy?
No.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Frazier?
No.
Pichelle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No. We'll have comments from the members in the public in attendance on city business only. No personal, political, derogatory comments not to exceed 5 minutes. Anybody that didn't have an opportunity to sign the sign-in sheet? Madam Councilwoman, you have a comment prior to getting started?
Yes. I forgot to mention something when I was talking about my ward, and I'm looking at my neighbors, and I just wanted to let everyone know, Garfield Street at the top of the street on St. George's Avenue will be yellow curbs again, and they're going to strictly enforce the no parking, because I've witnessed, like you told me before, how hard it is to turn there. So I wrote that, but I skipped it. I just want to make sure I told you guys. You're welcome.
Public comments. Dennis Kopecki.
Good evening, all. Dennis Kopecki over on Erudo Street. Last month, the council was very good in passing an ordinance 55-28. This referred to the $400 a week for an agency or whatever to use the police pistol range down at the animal shelter area. I'm not opposing that particular ordinance, but a question came to mind afterward as to what was it costing the city to provide this service prior to us approving the ordinance? In other words, did we pay for some kind of a supervisory service, a cleanup service, or whatever after the police, whoever was qualifying down there, left the place? I mean, was there a cost to the city that we seem to have needed the $400 to be approved last month?
Chief, can you help us with that?
In the past, there was no cost. We had, they would clean up after themselves, and then what they would do is donate either bullets or targets or whatever.
Well, that's good.
As
Great.
a share, so now there's going to be a dollar cost.
Okay. What I'd like to propose then is that $400 a week, whenever it comes in, if that could be allocated, or should we say amend, extend the ordinance that has been passed to allocate that money to the animal shelter, I'd like to see an ordinance or change made so that the animal shelter benefits above and beyond the funds that they already receive. In other words, the animals are putting up with the noise all damn day. And I've been down there when I think Westfield was around, and I don't know how many nutcases we're going to create in those cages, but it's quite possible that it wouldn't be a bad idea to let that money go to them.
Yeah, and all money revenues come into the city general budget. If the city were to choose to, because the animal shelter is a 501c3, if the city were to choose to contribute money to them, that's up to the governing body, but we're not able to direct funds to them. All funds come into the general revenues of the city.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you. The only other thing I'd like to comment on was an experience I had just this morning over at the public library, the new building on East Henry Street. Many years ago, the old building, as you might remember, had a driveway coming in on one side and a parking lot and pathway for the cars to go around and exit out on the other side of the building. And the new building, of course, was sited too far back to allow for any cars to pass behind it as it stands right now. What I'd like to recommend, after seeing how crowded the parking lot was this morning, that we create, approve, develop the funds for a second driveway like we once had out of that parking lot on the far side of the building, the far side of the parking lot. Folks, I really don't want to see the Mercedes and the Lexuses and the Cadillacs mingling with each other on city property. You're dealing with a situation where today I saw a Mercedes really struggling to get back out after the lot was full, or just about. And it's kind of ridiculous to say, look, we used to have a second driveway at the far end of the current parking lot. I don't think it would be that much, unless there's some kind of underground structures, piping or whatever, that we can't really disturb or subject to the kind of weight that would be on it. But would the city please look into a second exit, second driveway out of the new building public library parking lot? Thank you.
Mr. Sharpie?
This is all city business, I hope. First, I'd like to start off with the ward that I live in. My neighbors and all have called about Ritchie Road and Washington Avenue. About the signs, the one-way sign at the end of my street is blocked by trees and everything. And the sign is back there, but it's totally covered. Coming down Ritchie Road, when you want to come out onto Washington Avenue, the stop sign is blocked by trees. And I got it on film, everything. If you want the public to see it, I'll do it. And at that particular location, I lost my cat at night, and I no longer have him. It hurt me. Thank God it wasn't a child. And me and my neighbor have been calling. Now this is over a period of 3 months. I've seen cars, one of these times, we just had an accident on Washington Avenue this past Saturday. You know, God forbid, a child gets killed on that intersection coming out. They actually run the stop sign, come 3/4 of the way out into Washington Avenue. Washington Avenue so they can see traffic coming up. Sometimes there's cars parked there and they can't see over it. Now, someone's gonna get killed, a child could get killed, I could get killed walking, you could get killed. I've called yous and called yous and called yous. Call, wait till I get there. You know, that's not the way we work here. It's people's lives out there. You know, I've called about this, I let the police director know about it. Another intersection on Washington Avenue, the same thing. They're running the stop signs, there's no one there watching. We had an accident happen last week, they ran the stop sign. You know, what are we gonna do about it? Somebody gets killed, somebody dies. And the other thing I have is, here in the city, the police department, they have auxiliary police officers. And I'm strongly suggesting that we also have auxiliary firemen too. Another thing is, on police and firemen, I've took a survey and everything. I think it should be a referendum put on a ballot that all new employees of both the police department and fire department, on their application and their term of employment in those two particular things, that they have a lifetime living here in the city to protect and serve the city residents. Now that if we have a major fire here, we had to call a second shift in, they had to come from 3 towns, 3 miles or 30 or 40 miles in order to get in there to protect us. It's only right, because police officers are a 24-hour call. It's a lot easier if they're right here in town to protect and serve the residents of this city. I am a volunteer fireman from my hometown back in Pennsylvania. I own a home there. When I go up there on vacation, I'm on duty because I'm a volunteer fireman. I'm on duty. I'm living and spending my vacation up there. I'm on call. And I think it's only right that it should be done here in this city. My hometown up there is the same population as Linden. I only think it's right for the taxpayers, because we are the ones who are the employers of these fire and police departments.
30 seconds.
That's all I have to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief, can you look into that situation with the stop sign? Thank you. Mr. Alvarez?
Good evening. George Alvarez, 318 East Curtis Street. I'm here representing the Linden Youth Soccer Association. How you doing, Mr. Moore?
Good.
Mr. Sadowski,
Yes, sir.
I'm here to give a little bit of information about Wheeler Park. Okay, this is a project which the county is going to be not putting a new field in there. There is a field in there already.
There's a baseball, softball field, and on top of that is a marked soccer field.
It's a huge soccer field with lines which we use
Yeah,
on
but
the
they
fall
are
and the spring.
they are going to rip up that.
And they're going to put turf
Put
on
in
it.
turf in, yeah.
Correct. The only thing that's going to change besides going from grass to turf is that, yes, they're going to put lights.
They put lights
You do
and
know they're going to
bleachers.
put lights with what's called shield, housing shield.
Yeah, right.
So it doesn't affect it.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a project that the soccer club has been working for the past 4 years. Okay, this is not something that has just come up.
but
And yes, it is expensive, and it's a lot of money, and you
Right.
mentioned that, but the money was going to go to Hillside.
No,
And we have been working on it, begging them to put it here.
Oh,
And
okay,
we
because-
finally got it.
The first time I heard this was when a resident 2 weeks ago told me about it. I went through the city here, no one in the city knew about it. And finally, I called up there and, we had contact, and the gentleman was really pleasant, and he explained the situation.
Lack of communication.
Right.
And that's, I'm here to give you a little bit more
No,
information.
I'm glad you are.
Okay. I'm supposed to be meeting with them, telling them more of what we want. And hopefully, if you, when you have your meeting with the residents, if you can ask me to come along. I would
Oh,
love to
definitely.
go, and
In fact, if you have a meeting, ask me to come along with you.
I will, sir, and I'll
No,
send you some tickets.
okay. See, I didn't even realize anyone from Linden knew about this.
Well, we
I
are
mean,
the
I'm
ones,
just being
we're
perfectly
the ones
frank.
who started this.
Oh, okay.
The soccer, because there's a lot of parks here in Linden, but there's only one park that has soccer.
Right, right.
And you do know we are the biggest sport in Linden.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we needed something that's more solid. And when we came to the city, which we did, okay, they told us they'll help us with anything except with money.
Right.
And I understand that. So then you go to the next person.
You go to the county, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody.
Don't forget, give me a call.
Pat Hero, please.
Pat Hero, Wheat Chief Road, and Council President Moore, you were doing so good, and I was hoping you wouldn't say that phrase, but you did, and I just have to comment on it. Cannot be personal, political, or derogatory. So what can we talk about? See, that's the problem. When you say something like that, I'm not really sure what we can talk about. And as President Harry Truman said, when even one American who has done nothing wrong is forced by fear to shut his mind and close his mouth, then all Americans are in peril. You see, Linden is a unique kind of city. I've always found it, and actually New Jersey too in certain ways, is that we kind of have this interesting blend of personal and professional. And I'm not really sure when it says we can't be personal. Does that mean we can't congratulate someone on having a new baby? I mean, does that mean we can't wish someone a happy birthday if this month happens to be their birthday? I mean, what does it mean? I guess it means no personal attacks like, someone said to me, like, you have the face of a ferret. That might be personal and that may be uncalled for. Might be true, but, probably is uncalled for. I can understand that, but I always think whenever I hear those words, I just kind of just listen and nod my head and just go on my merry way and figure I'm going to say what I want to say. Can't be political. Well, I guess we can't say, well, someone from this ward's running for office and I'd like you to go out and vote for that person. That's true. But maybe why can't we talk about politics? Maybe it's because of John Hardiman or Kinky Friedman's statement. Politics, poly comes from the Greek word for many. Ticks are blood-sucking parasites. I got that when I read Kinky Friedman's book. You can lead a politician to water, but you can't make him think. Or derogatory. Derogatory is, I looked up in the dictionary, the Random House College Dictionary, tended to derogate or detract us from the authority or estimation, disparaging. Well, some of us don't have to say anything derogatory. Not this month, thank God, but certainly in previous months, some of you were doing a fine job yourself of doing that to yourselves. So we really didn't have to, say that much about that, I guess. But the fact is, one of the things about the First Amendment is to petition the government for a redress of grievances. And when we're doing that, sometimes we might not be as nice or as kind as you would like us to be. After all, well, I can come up here each and every month and say something nice and different about Councilman Jack Sheehy. I think, that's not exactly what we're here for. We are also here to say where we think you can do better and jobs you can do better. And certainly I'd like to address, how many minutes do I have?
1 minute, 49 seconds.
Okay, 1 minute and 49 seconds. I'm going to have to carry this over to probably next month. Because one thing I was very disappointed at was the behavior of Councilwoman Shauna Cosby Hurling and her behavior in the June City Council meeting when she asked for Ms. Jacqueline Williams to be removed. As Winston Churchill said, courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. For people like you, like me, Ms. Cosby Hurling, to have sworn to uphold the Constitution, as Colin Powell, former Secretary of State Colin Powell has said, free speech is intended to protect the controversial and even outrageous word, and not just comforting platitudes, too mundane to need protection. That's what the First Amendment is about. It isn't about people that you agree with. It's about hearing people you disagree with, people whose words you may not approve of. As George Orwell said, if liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. But this is what this country was founded on. This is what we celebrated on July 4th. This is what our Constitution is based on. The First Amendment, you might want to read that one again. Free
30
speech.
seconds, please.
And, well, I guess I'd like to close with, if there's any principle of the Constitution that more imperatively calls for attachment than any other, it is the principle of free thought. Not free thought for those who agree with us, but freedom for the thought that we hate. And I do believe that may be Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes who said that. And I'd like you to take that into account, because believe me, you're going to hear a lot of attacks and a lot of praise, and and if you just keep asking for people to be removed, there may be nobody in this room standing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
Ms. Hero, just so that it's clear, I did not ask her to be removed because she was saying things that I did not like. I asked her to be removed because her remarks were clearly personal, and they had nothing to do with city business or how I'm behaving as a council member. If the microphone did not pick it up, she clearly said that she was pulling daggers out of her back, had something to do with an election, nothing to do with city business at all. I'm a big girl. I can take it. Anybody who has a concern about what I'm doing or not doing, please feel free to call me. Again, personal things should be handled personally. And she knows where I live. I gave out my number. So business is business, and I would hope that if I'm doing something that people don't like or there are adjustments that could be made, call me up, 908-477-4120, and I can take constructive criticism.
Thank you.
Wait. So while I have the mic, happy birthday to my two sons, Bilal and Derek, this month.
Mrs. Malik? John Roman? Your address, sir?
John Roman, Summit Street. I would like to say thank you. Thanks for the budget and for the entertainment from the council meeting from June, from the council and the public, which I continue to miss in person, only to watch again and again, thanks to television station 36 and 42. I understand, Mr. Sheehy, that the department works is your pet peeve. I have something for you.
Could you tell us what that is?
Pictures of inexpensive garbage trucks, but I guess they're not certified to do business with the city of Linden. Please, Mr. Sheehy, give these pictures to the person who does the buying, or in this case, the spending, or maybe the politicians who certify the people who we can and cannot do business with, or maybe the one giving out the overtime this past Saturday at the DPW garage. Help me understand the budget of this department. They have a budget, but yet council introduces a resolution to buy a needed garbage truck. How come there was no resolution to purchase a new vacuum truck that I think was $700,000? Or the so-called graffiti machine at $65,000? I am sure it's used every day. Why is this department even given a budget when they have to spend every dollar every year? And yet they ask for more each year in the form of budget resolutions. I hear all the talk about a business manager for the city. I would like to think that a purchasing agent for all departments. The council settles the budget, but it's still the same old senseless spending. Okay for the resolutions for the Department of Public Works, but to perform services. But yet, why not a resolution, Ms. Crosby-Hurley, to give the municipal court money to help with the bigger caseload and sessions to bring in revenues to the city? Or maybe we could ask Mr. Roberts to do all this pro bono. Thank you.
The following council meetings will be as follows. Council conference meeting Monday, August 15, 2011 at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council conference meeting prior to the council meeting Tuesday, August 16, 2011 at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. council meeting August 16, 2011, at 7 p.m. in the council chambers, 301 Northwood Avenue. I ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Colbus. Koziel.
Yes.
Brown. Armstead.
Yes.
Yes.
Crosby Hurling.
Yes.
Sadowski.
Yes.
Sheehy. Yamakaitis. Frazier.
Yes.
Rochelle. Mr. Moore.
Yes.